Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn, and the internet streets is definitely buzzing. It's the weekend. We got to have some conversations. We got to talk, y'all. In this episode, we'll be talking about relationships and why people cheat. We'll be talking about Robin Roberts and her wife living separately. We'll be talking about the No King protesters starting to take place around the country. And of course, we have to talk about game 4 of the NBA Finals. All right, look, if you want to jump around, go for it. I'll understand. I won't take it personally. But anyway, this episode is sponsored by my t-shirt company, Broken Heart Shirts. You got to go support me. Go to bhshirts.com and buy something, please. And then, of course, my signature shoes, the Don Don 1. Go to aliveshoes.com/Don Don 1. Basically, Alive Shoes is my Nike, and I am Alive Shoes' Air Jordan. All right, there you go. Or Michael Jordan, if you will. All right, I want to start off with why people cheat. I think that's one of the great topics I'll be covering today, and let's jump right in. So there are some couples therapists who assemble a list of 5 reasons why people cheat. And, as a married man myself, my marriage got pretty bad maybe a couple years ago, and we did go to therapy. And let me tell you right now, therapy is one of the most underrated things that I did not know existed, because I was someone who was vehemently against therapy of any type. And then my wife tried to ask me, hey, maybe you should go to, get counseling and stuff like that by myself. Listen, women, guys, ladies, husbands, wives, don't ever let your partner convince you that you're the only person that needs work. Don't ever let your partner convince you that you're the one that needs the therapy or the counseling or whatever. No. Anytime a marriage or a relationship is struggling, it's because of both people. It's just one person has a little bit of a harder time realizing it. So therapy had a big impact on saving my marriage. And that's why I was so drawn to this article. I want to go ahead and start off. The very first reason that they noted was to boost their ego. In general, people who struggle with low self-esteem or didn't grow up feeling emotionally secure end up craving external validation and reassurance from others. That's the worst kind of partner to be with. Somebody who always needs validation. And, I want to be sensitive, because in a lot of ways, I'm kind of pointing the finger at women, because that strikes me as a woman-dominated reason. And there are some men-dominated reasons on this list. So I don't really feel bad about saying, hey, this is more of a female-dominated. If I hear if one of my boys hit me up like, hey, bro, yeah, man, I'm cheating. Hey, man, what's going on, bro? Why you cheating? I'm not getting enough validation. I'm like, bro. I'm gonna say, really? You're not getting validation? Bro, you need to tuck your, I don't know, man. Tuck your panties. Oh, that's kind of weak to me. That's weak sauce. So yeah, but that is a reason. And this is why you really have to be aware of your partner who you're married to. And I've been taught some things. I've learned through the years that you have to give your woman just endless compliments, and you'll be surprised that they'll still want them. Like I've been with my wife for 13 years, and sometimes I'll tell her she's beautiful, and her face will light up like she's never heard before. And I said to myself, wow, she really needed that. And I can also tell if I don't say it enough, I'll see her start to wear certain things. I'm like, here we go. She looking forward for, like, if I don't, and I just shrug, I can't, look, go ahead, go, just do your thing. All right. Cause I don't have time. It's like, if you need it that bad, then you're going to get it anyway. And, it just sucks, because a lot of times this stems from neglect when that person is a child, whether it be their mother or their father, or somebody didn't give them enough reassurance, did not tell them they were beautiful enough that they can basically go a couple of days without validation. And this is why I tell my daughter every day, like, you're beautiful. I call her princess. I feed into that. She thinks she's a princess already, but I go and buy her dresses. I buy her purses, and I just shower her with love and assurance. That way, it's already there. It's built in. And when she gets older, she won't necessarily need it from her husband every day. Goodness gracious. All right, the next reason is no or boring sex. According to this study, some people cheat because the sex isn't what it used to be. And to an extent, intimacy issues like mismatched libidos or differences in preferences can create tension and distance in a relationship. This is an interesting one. This is definitely a male-dominated reason. Like, no sex or routine or rhythmic sex can be a problem. I don't know why I'm airing everybody laundry out today. I got a homeboy and he's been married somewhere north of like 16 years. And look, his partner is just not giving out. And I'm not gonna say his name, obviously. I got you, bro. But no, and the reason I'm using his story is because it's not just his story. This is a story that a lot of men encounter and struggle with. The wife, they start to have certain ailments, menopause comes about, and they just can't perform the way they used to, especially if you're with somebody for decades. That can be a problem. It can also happen in reverse. I've heard of some women kind of venturing out because their husband, they're having ED and stuff like that. So it's a thing. This is definitely a thing. It's not male exclusive, but it's male dominant. So that's definitely one. I'll put it like this. When it comes to sexual relations, I do think that, as husband and wife, you owe it to each other to engage sexually. I've heard of one person, he hadn't had sex, but only twice in the year. I'm talking about this year here. He's only had sex 2 times the entire year. And you don't know what today's date is. It's like, June 13th or something like that. So in 6 months, he's only had sex twice. That's not acceptable. That's unacceptable. And you can't blame a person for cheating if that's what you do. Do I condone it? Of course not. I don't think you should ever cheat. I think communication is exactly what the doctor ordered. In fact, and I'm airing myself out. I just told you I had, marital issues, 2 years ago. So I'm airing myself out. This is going to be a space of truth. No judgments here. And the thing about it is, therapy and communication turned out to be the secret recipe to fix everything. She had problems that I didn't know she had. I had issues with her that she didn't know I had with her. And once we got into a setting where we can talk about those things with a third party, someone who wasn't trying to win the argument, because that's what was always happening. When we have conversations together, I was trying to win an argument, or she was trying to win the argument. But when we got into therapy, it wasn't about who won, it was about both of us being heard. And that changed everything. But yeah, sex is a big deal. And I would argue, what is a healthy amount of sex to have? At least once a week. I think once you get into the space of your marriage where you're not having sex at least once a week, you're on the trajectory towards divorce, probably. I just think sex is important. And people say intimacy. How do you say this freaking word? Intimacy. People say that word too. That got to be a female-dominated word, man. Intimacy. Who made that word? There's no man that was like, man, I really want to work on my intimacy. Like, that's definitely a female-dominated word. Goodness gracious, that's why I can't say it. All right, number 3, not feeling seen. Kind of correlates with number 1, needing validation. Even if the sex is solid, people also cheat because they're feeling unfulfilled, especially in long-term relationships. It's easy for the romance to quietly take a back seat due to things like work stress, raising kids, or managing finances. I can say, and I can attest to this being a real thing. When you're in a relationship for a long term, a lot of people look at that as a sign of success. But I often look at it differently, like, hey, all right, either one or two things is true. Either they overcame a lot of issues or they're having a lot of problems. It's one or the other. And the way I look at it is, if you get caught up in that cycle of how do you do it? You wake up, go to work, come home, sleep. Wake up, go to work, come home, sleep. Hey, wake up. You see, and that happens a lot of times, right? Or wake up, go to work, come home, drink. Or wake up, go to work, come home, porn. Hey, wake up, go to work. So if you get into this rhythm of just doing these mundane things that exclude your partner, it can make them feel unseen. And then it goes back to number 1, where they're starting to look for that validation from external sources. And that's what really, contributes to the point that they're making here, and a lot of times, again, if you're in a long-term relationship and this relationship is going on for years and decades, you can start to take that partner for granted, and they'll look for it. They'll find it somewhere. Somebody will look at your partner as if they've never seen them before. You might have been with her for 10 to 15 years, but that one dude, he don't care about how long she's been in a relationship, especially if she's not mentally where she needs to be, especially if he's not mentally where he needs to be. Like, he's not focusing on his family. He's not focusing on his marriage. He's focusing on himself. I don't know why it wasn't on the list, but I think one of the reasons why people cheat is that they're selfish. And I don't mean that in a negative way necessarily, but a lot of times, and even if you look at all these points that I'm about to talk about, what is the common denominator? It's that one person thinking about themselves. And to me, that's the culminating reason. People cheat because they're selfish. It's like, look, okay, you're not getting sex. Well, hey, look, it's okay. It's all right. Have you spoken to your partner about why he or she is not having sex? You said they said they have body ailments. Hey, you might want to consider that. You might want to, and now have a conversation with that person about, hey, how you really feel despite those bodily ailments. Is there any kind of medication that can be taken? Is there anything that can soothe those ailments for the 5 to 15 minutes you need to, get what you need? But it's communication. But one thing it isn't is going out and making a isolated decision that not only impacts you, but impacts your partner, which not only impacts your partner, but impacts your children and your family. I just think it's selfish. I don't really think there's another way to put it. I think when it comes to cheating, it's just a selfish act. I don't care what your reason is. Oh, he doesn't give me attention no more. Really? That's selfish. Oh, we don't have sex no more. Well, did you talk about it? You know what I'm saying? Look, I get it. All right. Number 4, self-implode. For some, letting someone really see you, flaws and all, can seem risky, even terrifying. This is an interesting one and one I've never really thought about. Some people are just not used to a good relationship. So what do? They try to destroy the relationship. They're just not used to things going well. To me, again, it's selfish, but nevertheless, let's remove that element and just focus on what's being said here. Some people have never been in a relationship without drama, or never been in a non-toxic relationship, or never been in a relationship where there's no cheating or no disrespect. And they get nervous and anxious, and they say, hey, I'm not supposed to be in a good relationship. I'm not a good person. And they destroy it. That's sad. That's sad, man. And I'm going to tell you, it's something that often boggles my mind a little bit. It's like, hey, why can't two people just coexist? I often have this thought when it comes to different races and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, we're all children of God. Why can't we all just be happy and, let people just live their lives? Same thing when it comes to relationships. Hey, you just be the best person you can be. I'll be the best person I can be. We'll give each other some grace. We realize that we're both married to imperfect people. We both will not do anything that cannot be forgiven, like, cheating and stuff like that. We'll try to keep our emotions intact. We'll communicate. Why is this so difficult? The 5th and final reason that they, pointed out as a reason why couples or marriages fail or end a divorce or people cheat is because that other person just wants out. Again, selfishness. But again, let's remove it. They want out. When someone's unhappy but too scared or guilty to explicitly break things off, infidelity can feel like a built-in injection button. You're darn right about that. So if somebody just doesn't really want to be in that relationship, I've been there before. I'm pretty sure you've been there before. You're in a relationship with somebody and you just really want to be out the relationship. So, look, I don't have the courage to just tell this person I'm not interested anymore. So I'll cheat. And one of two things will happen. Either they'll find out and we'll break up, or they'll never find out and I'll just be happy and I'll get to have my cake and eat it too. All right. But anyway, what do you think about that? Do you think that these reasons are valid? Is there anything in this list that you would have changed? Is there anything you would add? For me, I would have added selfishness, but I know that's not a political or politically correct term. Next. Good Morning America's Robin Roberts and wife live in separate apartments. Now, if you don't know Good Morning America's Robin Roberts, she's someone who comes across as extremely stern, very wisdomatic. She is someone that always has a good word. And, I don't follow her. I'll be completely honest with you, but I've seen her face. She's a very, very attractive woman. And I did not know that she was married to a woman. Did not know that. And I promise I'm going to be on my best behavior here. And now, if you don't know, I have a website where I allow gay men to date gay women and gay women to date gay men, because I don't believe that there's a such thing as homosexuality. I just think that it's sin. I'm a Christian, so that formulates my ideology and the way I see the world. And I'm not going to force that on anybody, but I just want to, share how I see the world. I think it's important that we all know each other. And that's one thing I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to work on respecting people's differences. It's not easy, but I'm trying to work on it. And I'm not going to go crazy here about Robin Roberts dating a woman, despite the fact that I have a website. I have a website where gay women and gay men can date each other. And why and how is that even possible? Well, I say this. I say that if a gay woman likes women and this gay man thinks he's a woman, why can't they date each other? It's just their relational roles would switch. Instead of the woman being the woman, she'll be the man, and vice versa. But we'll say that for another day. But anyway, there are growing rumors online that this couple may be on the verge of splitting up. I think that Robin saw those rumors online and she tried to jump in and clear things up. And her main reason for proving or disproving this rumor was, hey, we're fine. And it's important to note that Robin and Amber, I believe her name is, they've been married since 2023, so about 2 years. But before the marriage, they were with each other as partners for 20 years, 2 decades. So, it's really difficult to say that this is some kind of failure or this relationship is on the way out because they've been with each other for so long. But it kind of goes back to the reasons people cheat. Look, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. The minute you and your partner don't live in the same living quarters or the same house or the same apartment, the relationship is over regardless. I had someone come to me last week, beautiful young lady, right? And she was like, yo, Rick, I just want to know what you think about this. I'm married, right? I had to play it off because I don't like people to know I'm in their business. I was like, yo, really? You are? Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Well, she was like, well, explain this to me, Rick. My husband and I, we are no longer living in the same house. I said, what? I said, where you at? She said something like North Carolina. I forget what she said. And I said, oh, wow. All right. When is he coming back? She was like, you're not going to believe this. Guess how long he's been gone? I was like, 6 months. 6 months. And she was like, no, 13 years. I said, baby girl, y'all not in a relationship. Y'all in a, what is that? I don't even know. What do you call that when your partner and you don't live in the same space for 13 years? Y'all cousins now. Y'all in a cousinship. Couldn't believe she told me 13 years. I could not believe that. But anyway, listen, Robin and Amber tied the knot in 2023 and have been together for 2 decades. And Robin did try to defend her and her marriage. And she essentially said that, look, we don't necessarily want to follow the systematic way that the world says marriage is supposed to be. Man and woman, and they live in the same house and they have children. Essentially what she's saying is we want to do things our way, what works for us. And what works for us, according to Robin Roberts, is that they live in separate spaces. And she also alludes to them living in separate spaces as something that actually helps their marriage because they're not around each other all the time. And it allows each other to breathe and allows each other to form and formulate their own identities. And, I'm going to actually take a moment to agree with Robin Roberts there. Look, I talked about my marriage and, when it was in trouble. And I think one of the contributing factors was me always trying to appease my wife. That was an issue. I was always like, is she happy? Is she not happy? Am I doing everything that she wants me to do? It just felt like that. And this version of me wish I could tell that version of me, hey, man, look, you can't be responsible for somebody's happiness. Happiness comes from within. If a person's not happy, it's because they're not happy. And there's nothing you can do to make them happy. So don't try. Instead, focus on yourself. Focus on your own, hobbies and things that you need to do. I'm not saying isolate your partner, but don't isolate yourself because you can't please anybody if you're not happy. You understand what I'm saying? So one of the biggest things that I learned since that period was to give my wife space. And by giving her space, I'm really giving myself space. All right. I can say it 100 different ways. Yes. Give your wife space. Or how about this? Find something else to do that doesn't involve your wife and allow her to just be. And, she's had problems with this new approach. It's like There's times when I'm just busy, I'm working, I'm promoting my shoe, I'm promoting my clothing line, or I'm creating content, or I'm doing something that doesn't involve her, and it sometimes makes her feel insecure, like it makes her feel some kind of way. One of the best things I can tell anybody that's in a relationship like this, go start going to the gym at least 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week. Go to the gym. And, for a partner that's struggling with their own, stuff, that can be a problem. They'll feel like, hey, it's like separation anxiety. Some people have that where if they're not around their partner, they just feel alone. And again, it stems from some things from childhood, but you have to still do it. And there's studies out there that show that when a man, I think this is more male dominated, when a man gives a woman space, the love from that woman grows fonder. Like women, I actually heard a woman say this, so don't get mad at me. A woman said that a man's secret power is space. When you give your woman space, something in a woman just reacts. It's like a psychological thing. They just feel like, yo, where's my man at? And also, it increases your value as a man. It makes the woman feel like you're busy. Women hate being with a man that has a lot of free time. All right, I've heard that through several sources. So when you're doing your own thing, and you're giving them space, and you're not calling them every 5 minutes, and you're not texting them every 20 times, they feel like and realize like, hey, you're doing something. At least you should be, right? So when Robin Roberts says that the space is actually helping their marriage, it doesn't surprise me that this is helping, especially considering that it's 2 women. But yeah, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. All right, next we're going to talk about Trump. So there are some anti-Trump No King protests underway, and I'm so glad this is happening because Trump is doing some things that are starting to blur the lines for me. I'm an avid supporter, or I'm not even a supporter of Trump. I'm not going to go that far. I think that's BS. I don't want to BS you, and it's not any reason to lie to. There's no reason to lie to you. You're not you're somebody that I got to lie to. No, I'm not a supporter of Trump, but I admire Trump. That might be worse, actually. And what I mean by that is just Trump is someone who's very audacious. He doesn't necessarily bend to the rule of popular opinion or to the pressures of people. And I love people like that. People who just do their thing fearlessly. I love people like that. That's why I love Dr. King. He was fearless. He didn't let the fact that people told him he couldn't do something, or racist individuals, fascist individuals trying to force him off course. No, he said, I'm on course. I'm doing something. I have something in me that I have to express to the world. I'm going to do it. I love people like that. And to me, Trump is a person like that. He just marches to the beat of his own drum. But there's some things he's done lately that I'm just like, man, what the hell are you doing, man? I said it before. I'm like, bro, you are straight up giving little dick energy, bro. Like straight up. You're giving little penis energy, bro. Like, dog, there needs to be like, I don't know, parameters in place to make sure we don't get this again. He's just doing things that, to me, suggest has some extremely large insecurity issues somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on doing it. I blame Melania because men are very simple. When they start acting crazy and start going off and starting wars, it's one reason why they're doing that. There's only one reason. Can you figure it out? It's a 3-letter word. I'm trying to watch my language because I know sometimes people listen to my content via my podcast and they're in the car with the kids. So my fault, y'all. Dang, my fault. But no, I only curse about 8 times a year. So you just heard one right there. But no, listen. That's what it is. And there's some anti-Trump No King protests going on. There are coordinated protests which are underway from Florida as far as California. Of course, DC is getting some of that. And turns out millions of people are actually lining up for this. Some protests took on a more festive atmosphere, they're more happy and kind of like, yeah, we know. While others were more tense, as you can imagine. There's a couple of them taking place near, Mar-a-Lago, his little state out there. And of course, they were met with opposition, MAGA supporters. There's another group that was met by the good old boys. The Proud Boys. Proud Boys, that's the thing. And National Guard members lined up in front of federal buildings. This is still a thing happening in LA as the protests continue to go forth. And, the people in LA are noticeably upset about the National Guard being there, including the Marines. And they're chanting things like, get out of LA. But I want to just say this real quick. You cannot blame the National Guard. I get it. You're angry, you're upset, you're mad at Trump, you're mad at his policies, you're mad at this whole immigration thing that he's trying to enforce, blah, blah, blah. But I'm gonna tell you what you shouldn't do. What you shouldn't do is destroy your community, because you're actually you're making his point more valid. If you're upset, the best way to go about it is peaceful protest or go to war. There's only two options. That's it. You don't want to blur the line in the middle. You either want to protest peacefully or just go to war. And the problem is you can't do both, right? So you got some people screaming, yelling at the National Guard. That's a war thing. You know what I'm saying? That's not peaceful. You don't want to get mad at the National Guard. The National Guard is just there doing their job. And in some cases, and probably all cases, with the exception of maybe a few renegade guards, most of them don't want to be there. Most of them are just normal people like you and I, and they have a job and a duty like you and I, and that's pretty much it. So you don't want to get the yelling in their faces and put them in a space where they have to defend themselves. That's where you get in trouble. And if I'm a protester, I'm going to tell you one thing I'm not doing anyway. One thing I'm not doing anyway is provoking a National Guard member or a Marine. I mean, there are smarter things to do. And it's not even because of their stature and what they represent. It's because they got guns, you goofy. Like, so look. What I'm telling you is, I get it. I get the frustration, but don't. For example, I'll give you a great example. My wife is in the military, and there was a guy who saw her shopping at one of the grocery stores, and he just started going off on her like, you know, you're representing blah, 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 blah. This is when Trump's first term was in place, and everybody's mad at Trump then. You can't do this, you did. He's going off on my wife, and my wife calls me like damn near sobbing, like, yo, so, you know, there's a guy just kind of going off on me. I was like, what the man, I got in my car, drove up to that grocery store so fast. And I'm like, where he at? Well, he left that way. I said, let's go that way. I find a guy, black guy, has like a Latino girlfriend or whatever. I pull up and I'm like, hey, bro, like my wife is telling me you going off on my wife. No, so I'm just saying that, you know, as people, I'm like, hey, man, this is my wife, bro. I don't know what the hell you talking about or what you tripping about. But don't ever talk to my wife that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's my point. It's like these people are just doing their job, right? They're not they're not representations of Donald Trump. It's unfortunate that we have a president, and like I said, I admire him, but I'm never going to allow myself to be censored, ever. I don't care what happens, what the penalty is. But the point is, I admire Donald Trump, but we should never, as Americans, and this is BS, all right? But I'm going to say it anyway. As Americans, we should never, ever be represented by a businessman. You know what I'm saying? That's just a bad representation. We need to be represented by a person of the people. When is the last time we've been represented as Americans with a president who put the people first? When is the last time that's happened? Because I'm going to tell you what's getting in the way of good presidency. Why we don't have a good president. I don't feel like we've ever really had one in a great long time. It's because our presidents are not focused on their real job. You know, their real job is the people. All right, being a liaison between the laws and the people and bringing all these different parts of government together and being the spokesman, blah, blah, blah. But when you have a guy with an ego the size of a freaking mountain and Donald Trump trying to lead people while at the same time putting his own self-interest in the way, it just creates problems. And I don't think people need to worry about Donald Trump trying to be a king. I'm not sure that's the right term. He's trying to be a Putin. You know what I mean? He's definitely looked at the playbook of Putin. He's trying to implement that stuff here. And it's just like, it's not going to work, man. Look, these American people are not going for Putin's implementation. All right. His government tactics. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And, you know, I am hoping that this thing ends well. I'll put it that way. And there was a crazy story out there. And this is what I mean by go to war. A gentleman by the name of Edward Miranda, 28 years old, allegedly, is it alleged? I think this is pretty much a fact, but nevertheless, it hasn't gone to court yet, I don't think. But anyway, he allegedly threatened to commit a shooting at the Palm Springs No Kings Day rally, police said on social media. All right, Edward Miranda was taken into custody without incident and is expected to be charged with one felony count of criminal threats and a misdemeanor count of threatening to interfere with civil rights. So he was planning on going to war. Man, yeah. And he was arrested. I just hope this gets better. You know, I hope this gets better. And Donald Trump has to do better, man. Like, I understand that and I like Donald Trump. To me, what it is that he's a father, right? And this is what fathers often have to go through. We've been coddled as America or Americans, and he's just old fashioned. And this is something what we're going through doesn't really surprise me. We've had very nice and cuddly presidents. For example, Barack Obama. Who wouldn't want Barack Obama as a dad? Because he's very nice and soft, right? Like I can tell in Barack Obama's household, Michelle was like the authority figure, like the masculine figure, whereas Barack Obama was more of the softer figure. I can just tell. All right, and that showed in his presidency. And while I'm here, hey yo, stop playing with Michelle Obama. I'm so tired of the Michelle Obama disrespect. She is not a man. All right, she's had children. I'm so tired of this crap, man. You know, it's irritating because she's somebody's daughter, and I'm telling you right now, if somebody was disrespecting my daughter like that, like it'd be a problem for me. And not only that, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman, and we got to stop that. But anyway, Barack Obama's this soft president, very like, nice and happy and all that. Then who do we get after that? We get Biden. He's like docile and sleek. So he's soft by default. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we had these, I won't say motherly like, but I'll just say soft presidents. And then what was going to happen? Kamala was going to come in and give us a third soft motherly type of president. We've had that for so long that we're just used to, we all had this. You got two parents. It's always that soft parent. You know that most likely a lot of the things that you want to do as a child will go just perfectly through that soft parent. You just know that. Even with me, all right, my father was the soft parent. My mother was the more dominant masculine, if you want to call it that, the masculine parent. It just is what it is. So Kamala just would have been more the same for me. And what's happened is we've got the dominant parent. That's who the president is. He's the father. He's the mother that's dominant, the one who doesn't let you run over them. And that's what people are struggling with. That's what people are struggling with. That's it. I just solved it. And, I know as an American, I'm supposed to sympathize and say, hey, you know what, Donald Trump, let the immigrants stay. I'm not necessarily there. I'm going to tell you where I am. I am on the side of what the laws say. That's where I am, which means if you're in the country illegally, there's a problem. I'm not saying a problem that warrants the National Guard. I'm saying that there's a problem, that there are some steps that were missed and you need to go back to start and do it correctly. That's where I am. And I know somebody's upset with me, so let me clarify. Listen, if you come downstairs in your house and there's let's go with a family of 4 in your living room. The father and the mother are in the kitchen making breakfast, and you don't know who these people are. What are you doing? You're going to say, hey, okay, well, go ahead and stay. Me and my family will go right back upstairs. You know what you're going to do? You're going to say, wait, there's some steps missing. Why are you in my house? That's number 1. Number 2, you're going to probably say, go get the gun. You're going to probably kill the people. And then you're going to say, call the police. That's exactly what Donald Trump just did. All right, there were some people in the country illegally, which is his house. He's the president. He actually has that authority. Some people in his house, and what is he doing? He's calling people to remove them. Because you would have did the same thing. You would have said, hey, and what if they would have said, well, we're just trying to be here because there's no, safety where we're from. You would have said, hey, you should have knocked at my door. And then from there, we could have proceeded. That's all. And now if Donald Trump was more diplomatic and he had a better publicist, he would have just said, hey, look, I'm not here to be your enemy, but there are rules. This is why I'm going to be the president one day, because I know how to do it. I know how to blend the Donald Trump and the Obama and make a happy world. You know what I'm saying? Listen, it's not about the National Guard. It's not about hurting. I'm about to run for president. Damn it, I hear myself. Listen, it's not about politics. It's not about the National Guard. It's about order. It's about rules. It's about laws. I know you're not a criminal, but guess what you're doing? You're committing a crime by being in this country illegally. And I'm actually doing you a favor because you probably don't feel at peace. You're probably having to live your life looking over your shoulder. That's not the way to live in America. America is not that. So we're going to put you here and you're going to do it the right way. Please. Hey, man, I'm on my way. Hey, I'll give it about 20 years. I'll give it 20 years. All right, throw a like on this video because the more famous I get, the more likely I can actually become the president. Because I don't know no other way. But yeah, so I think that's what it is, man. I just think Trump needs to, and I don't even know why I'm about to say it because it's not going to work. He needs to soften his approach, but it's not. That's not him. That's not his personality. It just isn't. And then he's offering, and that's the thing too. He's trying to merchandise and brand himself using his platform. I'm like, no, that's not how. I don't know, man. I don't like it that much. He's more focused on the Trump name than he is America, right? Because there are American people being affected by his decisions. Like when he put Elon Musk in the position that he gave him, Elon Musk went on a tirade and got good American people fired from their jobs. That is wrong. All right. That's a problem. That's why I don't like Elon Musk to this day. I don't care. I saw a Tesla today. I wanted to just get out of my car and kick the damn side of the truck. I'm serious. I just wanted to get out of my car and kick the side of the damn truck. Especially since I've seen that image that I can never unsee now. Goodness gracious. Who did this? Somebody is evil out there. Somebody took the Tesla symbol and turned it upside down and gave it eyes. I said, damn it. I will never unsee that now. That's a damn Klansman. All right, we got to talk about the NBA Finals. All right, let's close this bad boy out. So if you don't know, the NBA Finals, Game 4 was crazy, and it was a close game all the way through. So SGA, I'm going to just say it right now. He needs to become Michael Jordan, okay? There's points in this game where I'm like, hey, come on now. Come on. Get it going. And, I feel kind of bad asking him to be more than what he's already being. Even in this game, he scored 30 plus points, I should say. And, but still, that's not going to be enough to beat this team. The Pacers are something else. They are basically OKC, all right? The mirror image of OKC. I personally think that SGA needs to average about 40 to win this game. There were times in Jordan's playoff career where he had to surpass 30 points. Now, everybody knows that Jordan was penciled in for 30 points a night. But in the playoffs, in the finals, there's times when he's had to eclipse the 30 mark and hit 40, hit 50. Heck, when he went against Bird, when he scored 63. So I'm saying it's like that's where SGA needs to get his mind at. There's going to be times when you're going to have to eclipse that 30 piece. You're going to have to put 40 up. And you know who's going to have to step up? Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams, he's somewhere in the 20 range, right? He's averaging about 20 points per game. And guess what, Jalen Williams? You're going to have to start averaging about 30. Facts. All right, and I did want to talk about the Pacers as well. Pascal Siakam has to take the lead. I don't think that Tyrese Halliburton is prepared yet. He's still young. He's still trying to figure himself out. Because, 2 weeks ago, right before the finals started, there was a whole bunch of arguing about whether or not Tyrese Halliburton was a superstar. All right, the argument was he's not a superstar. He's just a star. And I think the answer has been revealed. He is just a star. And I don't mean that to be derogatory. How you say this word in the right context? I don't mean to be derogatory. But the point is, he is just a star. Why do I say that? Because he only scored 18 points in the finals. You're not a superstar scoring 18 points. And this is why I say, how you say this man's name? Oh, Pascal. Pascal Siakam, he needs to become the lead. Why? I think Pascal has at least one championship. Didn't he win one with the Raptors? I'm pretty 100% sure. Pretty 100% sure he won a championship with the Raptors. So he knows what it takes. Pascal Siakam, though, when he won that championship with the Raptors, he was the star behind Kawhi Leonard. I told you, we are out of the big three era. This is why anybody trying to get the KDs and the Giannis's, they're really fooling themselves if they're trying to still stack superstars. That's not where we at no more. Here's where we at. Superstar, star, emerging superstars, role players. That's the new dynamic. Take it or leave it. That's where it's at. And this is why the Pacers, I think, are struggling right now because Tyrese Halliburton is being pegged as the superstar when he's not. He's not. So in essence, they really just have two stars, right? And I think what Pascal Siakam needs to do is he needs to realize that he has immeasurable talent and needs just to go ahead and just get out. Hey, look, man, you're a superstar, brother. And if you're not on paper, you need to be in your mind because Tyrese is not there right now. And it's okay. Everybody has to get there. But he's not there right now. 18 points is just not going to cut it. And I'm going to tell you why Pascal Siakam is the person I peg as the perfect person to take that step up to become the superstar. It's because they can't check him. Like, every time I watch clips of Pascal Siakam, he does whatever he wants to do. They have no answer for this guy. His motor is immeasurable. The man just never stops hustling. He's extremely long and lengthy, and he is very skilled. He has to be the superstar. And I think what's happening is he wants to be respectful of Tyrese's, current reign. Like, most people identify Tyrese Halliburton as the star or the face of the Pacers, but Pascal Siakam, if he wants to win his second ring, he's going to have to ignore that for right now. Period. Pascal Siakam needs to eclipse Tyrese Halliburton as the face of this team, even if it doesn't mean being the face publicly. But on that basketball court, there's no better player on the Pacers than Pascal Siakam. This is why he needs to start, taking the lead. Because Tyrese is not there yet. He's just not. SGA, look, he did a lot of slipping and sliding on the court. And I'm going to be real with you. He needs to get some better shoes. All right, I don't know what shoes he had on. He had some light blue shoes on. SGA, please get some new shoes before you break your ankle. Matter of fact, go ahead and cop the Don 1. Look at these, man. Who don't want these? The Don 1 is the sexiest shoe that you don't know about. All right, the Don, look at that. That shoe is gorgeous, man. I did a great job. I designed these, by the way. I didn't have these designed for me. I designed them because I'm an artist. I designed all my stuff. But this is just one of my favorite designs, man. You can get this right now at aliveshoes.com/DonDown1Jelly. aliveshoes.com/DonDown1Jelly. Look at these, man. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. I did an amazing job on these. I still say that to this day. But yeah, so a lot of slipping and sliding for SGA. And what happened to Mathurin? Everybody, don't leave yet. I know somebody about to leave. Don't leave yet. We got to talk about Mathurin. Now, last game, Mathurin scored 28 points. And I was expecting a big game from Mathurin this time. You know how many points he scored in this game? 7 points. How in the heck do you do that? How you go from scoring 28 points to only 7? And then, by the way, in crunch time, I'm talking about 23 seconds left in the game, he made some of the worst basketball decisions. I'm talking about Mathurin. All right, he misses 3 of the 4 free throw shots that he's given. In fact, he missed 3 straight. Not only that, he committed 2 very terrible and very bad fouls in the last 23 seconds of the game. I'm talking about these fouls were so bad that the referee granted the person he fouled a free throw and the ball back. And look, I was prepared to call this game rigged. Like, when Mathurin got his first foul, I think the ref said he had grabbed somebody's arm. And I said, what's going on here? The game is too close for that kind of foul. Like, this is the playoffs. There's going to be some grabbing. So I was all team Mathurin, 100%, until I saw the second foul that he committed. He literally drove into the back of SGA while SGA wasn't paying attention. And I said, what the? And then the referee called the foul. And that sent SGA to the line to shoot a free throw and get the ball back. And I said, And it made me go back and watch the first one when he grabbed the arm. And I came to this conclusion. Mathurin is bogus. And they need to investigate this guy. I'm talking about the Pacers. Because how do you go from scoring 28 to scoring 7? That's the first thing that's a red flag for me. And then why do you miss 3 straight free throws? That's the second red flag. You can't have 2 red flags in 23 seconds, man. You can't do that, bro. And then the third red flag was the intentional foul where he drops his shoulder into the back of SGA. Everybody know if you breathe on SGA, the referee's gonna call the whistle. So what makes you think you're gonna be able to tackle the kid? Like, he literally tackled SGA. And I said to myself, I'm gonna be transparent because I'm gonna make sure that my platform allows me to do so. I'm like, bro, did you gamble on a game? Like, it's making me feel like it's giving gambler vibes. It's giving Mathurin had to make sure that the Pacers lost this game. Like, that's what it's giving. Because I'm like, how did you score 28 and then now all of a sudden you score 7? How did you miss? I can make at least 2 out of 4 free throws. How you miss 3 straight after scoring 28 the last game? And then why did you grab somebody's arm? Why did you do that? And then why did you tackle SGA? I'm like, bro, that sound like you, like some kind of rigor. Like, right now, the people who think that the NBA is rigged and they create videos talking about why the NBA is rigged, I'm sure they're having a field day right now with the actions of Mathurin, because his actions alone just destroyed the game for the Pacers. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm Rick Carlisle, I'm not playing him next game. Like he blew it. He blew it. The only way I'm playing him is if the Pacers win the next game without him. All right, I'll play him in game 6, and he better show up. If not, he ain't playing in game 7. Because look, everybody thinks that OKC is going to win this series, and the Pacers was up 2-1. How do you blow that? Like, you had to win this game if you were the Pacers. If you're the Pacers, game 4 was a must win. And I said it before. I didn't say it on camera, but I said it in my mind. I said whoever wins games 4 is going to win the series. And that's exactly what's about to happen. OKC is going to win the series because of Mathurin. It's not really because of Mathurin, but it's kind of because of Mathurin, right? Man, craziness. Did you see the game? Who do you think wins this series? For me, I picked OKC. I'm going to stick with OKC. But the Pacers have the potential, man. It's so sad to see that Tyrese Halliburton just will not step into what's clearly there for him. It could be the way they're defending him, but I'm going to go ahead and push back on that and say there's been games in the regular season where he's only scored 7 points, 4 points, 8 points. It's like, come on, bro. You are him, dude. And maybe you're not. Maybe you're not. Maybe that's our problem. We just see you. And I'm going to also say this. I'm going to say it. I don't care. I'm going to say it. I keep saying Tyrese Halliburton on social media, in the kitchen, laughing. Hey, man, get on the damn court and play basketball in practice. Man, I miss Kobe Bryant sometime. Bye.